Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to go over the 3 biggest complaints that I have in the kayak industry. I'm going to go over why they're affecting the industry, how they can improve, and at the end of the video I'm going to go over my #1 biggest complaint with the industry today, and again how we can fix things moving forward. Let's get right into it, everybody, and thanks for coming by. Okay guys, so the first thing I'm going to talk about is what I call keeping up with the Joneses, and it's exactly what it sounds like. What a lot of people do is they get caught up in the internet research and the YouTube videos and really watching these people that make a living fishing from a kayak, and they want to rig something up just like them. And I always tell people it's always good to start slow and ease your way into it. It prevents from a lot of burnout. I always like to make the joke, it's very similar to the people that watched Sons of Anarchy and then they just had to go out and buy a Harley Davidson and all the gear, and then it sat in the garage forever, and then they end up trying to sell it for pennies on the dollar for what they bought it for. It's kind of the same thing here. So we all see the 2-graph, live scope, motors on the front and back, the anchor poles and all that, and I feel like really more than half of the people that do that up front before they even take their kayak out on the water don't really understand fully on what they're getting into. It may be something that's in their budget with it, which is great, but maybe they don't need all that stuff. Maybe they would enjoy maybe a little bit more of a bare bones version of that. And a lot of people, when they see other people online on Facebook groups with these huge rigged up setups, maybe they're the casual weekend, every other weekend type fishermen. They're not doing a whole lot of tournament fishing, or they don't get into the tournament fishing like they thought they were going into, and they spend a lot more money. And these are usually the people that will go online and talk about how expensive it is and how that, you know, it is what it is. So it's always best to start out slow versus going online and trying to say, oh, I want this, I want that, I want that. Just, again, this is a really small thing, and I'm going to get into the more complicated things here later in the video, but that's one thing that I always caution people on is start out slow. Get your foundation right, your boat, your kayak right. Then you can say, you know, take it out a few times, maybe go out on a friendly tournament outing, and then kind of say, like, you know, it'd be nice to have maybe a depth finder or maybe a couple of rod holders, and find out what you're wanting to do before you just go out on the deep end and just start buying a lot of stuff there. Okay, so the second thing I'm going to talk about here is, and in my opinion, this could probably be really the top thing, but we'll get into my biggest frustration, is internet marketing. So during COVID, you saw a lot of brands that were around before the whole pandemic, but you really they put all of their marketing, all of their push into getting out there and getting their stuff out in front of us. So what we saw a lot there was a lot of brands popping up all over the place, but people are seeing videos of them here on YouTube. People are seeing ads show up, and it really, it made people maybe, you know, lust for those kind of kayaks when they really didn't have a lot of fundamental knowledge about these. And namely, I'm talking about a lot of the kayaks overseas, made in China or Taiwan or Japan, and maybe not the best quality, but they had a lot of marketing behind them. So you see a lot of people out there that might have bought, and you know, some of those companies have already gone belly up. They put all of their marketing and all of their push into that market. They sold a lot of kayaks, and then they just went out of business because the infrastructure wasn't there to support that. Another thing on internet marketing is manufacturers themselves. So I'm not going to throw shade on any manufacturer here. They're all doing what they think is best, but we've seen a lot less dealer support from these manufacturers, and a few of them in particular are selling direct to customer, either through Amazon or through their own website. And my issue with that, and it has nothing to do with what I do for a living, but from a customer standpoint, you're not buying your big, expensive fishing setup or your really, you know, fancy recreational kayak from your online dealers, but what they're doing by doing this is they're really hurting these small mom and pop kayak paddle shops that support them for so long. And when you're taken away from one and those start going belly up, and that's already starting to happen. So we've seen a lot of our competitors kind of go belly up or shut their doors or just decide maybe it's just not worth it anymore. And what that's doing is that's going to hurt the manufacturer in the long run, and that's going to hurt the customer in the long run. Just my soapbox on that is your paddle shops are 9 times out of 10 going to be able to do better on your pricing than anything you could see online. They're going to give you better support. And it's not one of those things where supporting local in the case of a paddle shop doesn't mean you have to pay more. It means you're going to get more for the money that you pay, and you're supporting that shop. You're supporting those people that own that business. And you know, a lot of times these businesses carry more than one brand, so it's not like they're just trying to shove one specific brand down your throat. They're there to give you the best experience and really the best kayak for what your needs are and your budget. But what I've seen is a lot of these companies are going up because they're not getting that manufacturer support. And it's a lot of the big ones, and it's some of the smaller ones also, but quite frankly, I think in the long run, that's going to have a negative effect on both the business and the manufacturer as well as the customer. So if you take anything from this video, take that support your local paddle shop, support your local business. They're going to be able to do more for you in the long run and save you a lot of money in the long run versus buying it online from that faceless vendor. And if you have a warranty issue, you don't know where to go. Take it from me, you're not going to want to go to these manufacturing companies directly. You're going to want a retail shop to handle that manufacturer warranty for you, because quite frankly, they don't have call centers in these kayak manufacturing plants. It's usually 1 or 2 people handling all the warranties, and a lot of people that get frustrated because they feel like the company doesn't value them or isn't paying attention to them, when in fact it's usually a person that's wearing a lot of different hats, and really where you need to be going is your local paddle shop to facilitate that warranty for you. You're going to get a lot better help and a lot better service for that. Anyways, so the third thing that I'm going to talk about, and in my opinion is one of the biggest frustrations, is pro staff. And what I mean by that, I'm not talking about a professional kayak angler that is, coming over to help customers with specific kayaks. I'm talking about promotional staff. So that phrase has kind of morphed into promotional staff. These are people just like me and you that just want to get out and fish and float on their kayaks. These manufacturers have stepped in and, given them product or given them a kayak to use for a year in a lot of cases, or just given them a pretty deep discount if they're wanting to do that. What's happening is these people, and they're just doing a job, so don't take this as a slight against these individuals, but what happens is they're going on Facebook groups, they're going on online forums, and they're beating the drum a little too loud on specific kayaks when they should be asking more questions on where is this, what kind of water are you on? What is your budget? What is your primary use for this kayak? Now instead, they're just beating the drum on a specific kayak that they've been given from these manufacturers to tote. And that's really going to be where the downfall at some of these is, because I've seen some of them be downright toxic online when they're talking about their kayaks. Let's be honest, not everybody likes every kayak out there. There's some people that have had negative experiences with a specific kayak, and that's okay. But to go on there, if somebody's talking bad about their kayak, they have to rush to the defense, and a lot of times they're being double or triple teamed by a pro staff guy, the guys that are just hounding them on like, well, this company does this, and this is the greatest company, this is the best kayak ever made. That's not necessarily the case, and what it does is it creates more negativity in the space, which is something we really don't need, and it creates some bad blood. That person is probably never going to want to go back to that product just from that experience and the experience that they had, be it negatively with that specific kayak. A lot of you have probably seen this. You go on the beginner forums, or you go on some of the brand-specific Facebook groups where you're asking about a kayak and somebody says they don't like that kayak, you may like this one better, and then they've got this group of people that comes in and just absolutely inundates them with information and useless stuff when Typically, 9 times out of 10, the kayak that they're pushing is not the best one for that customer. You don't need a Hobie Pro Angler if you're wanting to fish rivers and creeks and shallow water, but it happens. It happens a lot. So I run into it with my comments down below. I read all my comments. If I'm doing a review on a specific kayak, which is what we're doing, we're providing information to people doing research. You'll get some pro staff guys in there, promotional staff, that are going to down that kayak and then start trying to sell their kayak that they're in and that the company has given to them to promote. So you'll usually pick them out where they're talking about the history of a company, how great they are, how amazing their product is. And it usually sounds like they're trying to sell you something, because they usually are. There are some great pro staffs out there, don't get me wrong. I deal with them on a daily basis here, but quite frankly, there are some ones that I think just miss the point a little bit, or maybe that hasn't been communicated to them right, from the company that they're representing. And, most companies out there, they sell kayaks for every different kind of paddler or peddler. So that's my biggest thing. My fix on all this is do better. If you are chosen on a promotional staff from a manufacturer, you have the kayak that you're in, but get to where you know the product. And that's the thing that is, I think, missing in the industry, is know your product. Know what other kayaks that company sells. If somebody comes in and they want you to, hey, I'm looking for a river fishing kayak, or I'm looking for just a good recreational floating kayak, know what product that company you're representing fills that need, fills that budget. Because chances are, whatever company you're with, they're going to have that. Because that's what I do for a living. Someone comes in the store and we sell over a dozen different manufacturers. Usually whatever they're needing, we've got something for them. So anyways, guys, I hope this kind of sheds some light on it. This is definitely something that I personally wanted to address with a lot of people, because it is something going on right now that can have a negative impact on both your experience, our experience, and the manufacturer's experience as well. If a manufacturer is watching this video, which I hope they are, please listen to this. Please reach out to me if you feel like I can add something to what you're trying to do. But the biggest thing, I think the kayak industry needs to get back to the core fundamentals of why people are doing it. Get back to what the customer's needs are. Listen to those customers. Listen to those people that are using your product, and go from there. In my opinion, the best research and development is your customer base. So anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it's kind of opened some eyes there. If you have any questions or any thoughts and opinions, which I'm sure a lot of you do, let me know down in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. As always, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you on the next one.